This video will demonstrate how to freeze columns and rows using the Python library xlwings. On the right, you can see our testing document that has 10 rows and 4 columns, with each column labeled header and a table of data containing some random letters. I will demonstrate with xlwings how to freeze the first row, then the first column, and then freeze multiple rows and columns at the same time. I will start with opening the workbook with the book function from xlwings and selecting the Sheet 1 worksheet as WS. To begin the process, I have to do something a little unusual. I have to do something called splitting the row or splitting the column. Walking down this list of attributes, we can see we have a split row attribute on the active window attribute of the application attribute of the API on top of our worksheet object. This split row attribute actually divides the document into two separate views of the exact same document. The division occurs at the bottom of the row that you identify. Let's execute this cell and see what happens. On the right, you can see a clear division is now showing underneath our first row. But if I scroll up on the bottom window, we can see our headers are repeating twice. You'll notice too that a scroll bar has appeared on the top right of our application. If I scroll down slowly, you will see the exact same table of data on this upper view. So we haven't quite achieved our goal yet. The second step of the process involves us activating the freeze panes attribute. You can see these two lines of code are otherwise very similar because the attributes exist on that same active window attribute. Executing the cell, we can see it is currently assigned false. Let's change that. Keep an eye on what happens to the strong border on the bottom of row 1 when I execute this cell. With it executed, we can see that the strong border has disappeared and our document is no longer split. Now, if I scroll down, you can see the headers are staying at the top of our window. So we have successfully frozen the panes of that row that we had split. This pattern of splitting, then freezing, is how you accomplish freezing columns as well. The next block of code is the exact same as the above, with one exception. I am splitting the first column here rather than splitting the first row. With it executed, I can now move right in our document, and you will see column A follows us as we move. To unfreeze columns and rows, you might think it is as easy as assigning that freeze panes attribute false. Unfortunately, not. Assigning it false will split the document again into multiple pieces. With this executed, you can now see that I have split the document into 3, possibly 4 separate parts. I have to explicitly pass split row and split column 0 so that no rows or columns are split. That is what I will be doing with this code block. Executed, and now navigating down and right, we can see no rows or columns are following us. Fortunately, it is very easy to freeze panes on multiple rows and columns at once. Just pass that split row and split column attribute the number of columns or rows you would like to freeze when scrolling through a document. Executed, you can see columns A and B and rows 1 and 2 follow us as we navigate to the bottom right of our document. So while it involves multiple steps, it is actually quite easy. Access the split row or split column attribute, which exists on the worksheet's api.application.activeWindow attribute, and pass it the column and row you would like to freeze. Then access the freeze panes attribute in the exact same location and assign it true. Thank you for watching. Please let me know in the comments below if this was an informative and a helpful video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, as that really does help others find this content. And don't forget to hit subscribe so that you know when the next video drops.